Hello, hello, everybody. I am back after what has been a 4-month hiatus. I am recording this at the beginning of July 2023. And looking back, I haven't had a new episode with new content come out since March, the beginning of March. So, a 4-month hiatus. I want to explain a little bit where I've been and what's been going on, and then what I am hoping to do going forward. So, I am super excited to be here with you today. Let's go. Hey there, and welcome to Be Well With Steph, the podcast. This is the show for you if you believe that personal wellness can be an actively pursued goal, and you're ready to tackle building healthier daily habits with a little bit of good humor, a little bit of grace, and a little bit of coffee. I'm Steph. I'm your wellness and nutrition coach and your host, and I want to make it really clear. You're not expected to be or live perfectly here. Lord knows I don't. After battling diet culture and then learning to navigate the world of wellness culture myself, I know a few things are true. 1, it doesn't have to be complicated to be effective. 2, you are capable of creating a lifestyle you love. And 3, you have everything you need to start doing that today inside your own beautiful self. On this show, we'll talk about nourishing yourself, moving your body, getting a good night's sleep, caring for your mental health, being in community, and maintaining day-to-day practices that make you feel good. I'm here to help empower you to create and maintain a lifestyle of wellness that gives you the strength, energy, and confidence to go after your wildest dreams. Okay, so if you are new around here or if you've missed the memo, I say I'm returning after 4 months because my life got a little bit busy, a little bit crazy this year. I am a teacher by trade. I was a elementary teacher for 10 years before I launched myself into small business ownership and opening my own coaching practice. And I went back to teaching this year. So I returned, I taught 5th grade for a year at a local city school. And I tried my darndest to keep up with podcasting while I was teaching. But I got my job kind of late in the summer, and I didn't really prep well for what this year was going to be like trying to do everything. So I ended up being way more distant than I would have liked to have been, especially the past few months. I maintained for a little while. And then, really, as springtime at school came and we got into our state testing time and we were really working more in depth in our material and I had more responsibilities and my kids started to get the spring fever. It just wasn't really feasible for me to keep up because I wasn't kind of prepared to do both. So this coming school year is going to be very different. I am spending the summer totally preparing to be able to do more things well, I guess. But this year, I guess I couldn't. I just needed to do my best at what I could do instead of having my hand in too many pots and trying to do too many things and doing them poorly. I really felt that I had to settle into teaching and show up for my students as the best possible version of myself that I could. So what ended up happening is that a lot of coaching things took a back burner. If you are local to Western New York, where I am, you'll also know that I ended up closing our boutique at Wellness in the Village, which was a really difficult decision to make. And then once I made it, felt so good and aligned with what I needed in my life and where I wanted my businesses and my career and my personal life to go, that it was the right move for sure. And having the boutique we had about 2.5 years that we were open, was such a blessing and such a learning experience and such a way for my family to connect and to connect with the community and introduce people to new products and healthy lifestyle. And it was awesome for its season. It just wasn't a forever season for me. So Wellness in the Village is still here. We're still renting space to a variety of service providers. An awesome chiropractor, family chiropractor, moved into the space that I was occupying as the boutique. And I'm really hoping for this next year to be able to focus a little bit more on classes, events, ways that I can show up and serve people, not necessarily serve product. And that just feels more aligned with who I am. So it's also more manageable with teaching, which really is something that I am passionate about. Education has never left me. And I've talked in the context of coaching over the past few years about the importance of education and that knowledge is power and you have to be informed about your health and informed about what you're putting into your body and onto your body and all that good stuff. So obviously education is like at my core. So those are some of those changes that were taking place. And while all that was going on and I was teaching, what ended up getting dropped was my ability to create content as well and my ability to show up here with the energy I wanted to give it and to have kind of these creative space available in my brain to present information to you guys in a way that is engaging and compelling and all that stuff. It was just hard. It didn't happen. And I want to be clear though, I guess, that what did continue to happen was my own personal self-care. I had to I had to really dig in and practice what I preach in order to be able to show up well in those different areas and to get done what I needed to do without my head blowing off, right? So I really had to dive in. And if you were on my email list, you saw some of this in my Sunday note email. But if you're not, you can sign up for that on my website or through any of my free offers anywhere. They all put you on my email list. So just sign up and you can get this firsthand. But I had to really dive into my daily self-care practices. I was going to bed ridiculously early, like 8:45, getting ready for bed, in bed by 9 o'clock and lights out, and just really taking the time for my brain to rest and recharge and to make sure I had the cognition and the creativity that I needed. So really settled into good sleep habits, making time for myself in the morning, which I've always done, but it became even more crucial because the day was going to get chaotic. And I made sure that I was still getting up like 30 to 60 minutes, or like getting up early, but allowing 30 to 60 minutes every morning for myself to welcome in the day, to decide how I was going to be and feel. So I was journaling and habit tracking like crazy. I was reading. I've actually read a lot this summer. This summer. No. Well, I have already read a lot this summer. I mean, I've read a lot this past year, this past school year. I've probably read more books in the past year than I have in the last several years, even though I had a lot less time. And it's just because I was changing my priorities. You know, it was really important to me to continue my personal develop, to continue working on my mindset, to continue learning, because those are things that feel like me at my core, not me like out in the world showing up for other people, but like me and what I like to do and how I like to think and grow. So reading is a place I really sunk in. And these are like boring things, guys. These are not rocket science things. You know, I think a lot of times, not to tangent too badly, but the health and fitness and wellness industry make it seem like you have to do something crazy or incredible in order to take care of yourself. And for me, it really was just sinking into, I need to rest. I need to read. I meal prepped, which should not come as a surprise to you, right? I was very cautious about making sure I had breakfast, lunch, and snacks ready to go for the day, that I had a plan for dinner and that simple meal building formula that we've talked about before. And I learned to say no a little bit better. You know, I kept my boundaries pretty strong, which is hard for me. Like I'm a yes girl, right? Like I'm a joiner, I'm a trier, I can do that. Why not kind of person. And I just said no more than I feel like I have in a while. And I'm still working on that. I'm still removing things from my life and my schedule that are not crucial to what I do and who I am, that are like extra things. And it just allows me to focus so much better on the things that are priorities and to have that time to work on myself and my own self-care. So I guess I just decided that for the context of that school year, I would rather thrive the best at what I could, which was hopefully myself and my classroom for that year, because I had a commitment to them. They were the priority. I had to thrive at just those things the best that I could, instead of continuing to kind of flounder through everything and not feel like anything was successful. So I zeroed in, took care of myself, took care of my kids, and now I'm using this summer to reconnect with you. I hope. I hope you're still there listening. I hope that we can reconnect. We have an awesome book club going on. The Self Love Book Club is what I've decided to call it. So this is the first round of the Self-Love Book Club, and it is meeting in person in Alden at Wellness in the Village, but also has a virtual option through a Facebook group. So, um, by the time that this airs, we will not have had our first meeting in person, but the in-person group's full anyway. But you could still join the Facebook group if you want to. So like DM me or send me an email if you want to like read along with us. We are reading Rising Strong by Brené Brown for that, again, like personal development, self-love genre. So we're going to dig into that. And I'm going to hopefully connect with a lot of you guys through that, through Instagram, of course, again, through this podcast. I jump on the email list. Like, let's stay in touch and get rekindled, because my perspective has shifted a little bit with this new experience, as it always does, right? Like every new experience adds to your perspective, changes the way that you view the world and view your focus a little bit. And it has become ever more clear to me how important digging into my daily self-care practices are, because that is the only way that I'm successful. It's one thing for me to say to you, you need to work out every day and read every day and eat healthy food, etc. But for me to not have kids, not be married, not have, a job. Like I had a job, I was coaching, I was running Wellness in the Village, but I was home. I had the flexibility, I had freedom, right? And in my freedom, it was very easy for me to engage in daily self-care practices. That was like my life and my world. And when suddenly most of my world was outside of my home, all it did was bring with me more clarity and more focus, that those daily self-care practices were what were able to sustain me, were what were able to let me keep going and without crashing and burning. Because without getting into it, it was in a lot of ways a really rough school year. So I guess I want to reconnect with you. Moral of the story, I hope this makes sense. Moral of the story, I want to continue reconnecting with you because I want for us to go even deeper into how we make those self-care daily habits part of our routines in a way that are individual to us and our needs and preferences. Like I say, I like to read. Maybe that's not your thing, but we've got to find out what your thing is, what's going to recharge you, what's going to light you up and allow you to care for yourself in a joyful, meaningful way on a regular basis so that you can show up in the world in everything else you do the way that you want to show up. Okay, now I would like to get into the meat of today's episode, which I didn't realize was going to be a punny thing to say until I said it, because today's episode is about soy. Now, one of the ways I'd like to use the podcast is to help answer people's questions and debunk certain myths that people bring to me. So I get a lot of like DMs about random nutrition facts, or people just kind of asking me questions about my day-to-day routines when I post them. I figure if one person has a question, maybe more people have a question, and that can be a way that we can connect too. So if you ever have a question for the podcast, you can DM it to me, but you can also go to bewellwithsteph.com/podcast. And there's a spot there to submit your podcast questions so I can kind of keep them in one place and just makes it a little easier to pull them up for episodes. But one of the questions that I get all the time is about soy. So I want to explore some of the myths and health benefits of soy. It has been a controversial topic in the health and wellness world for decades, with many conflicting reports on what its potential health benefits and risks are. So I want to dive in and separate a little bit of the fact from fiction here. So I have 3 common myths for you, and then 3 health benefits. Myth number 1 is that soy causes cancer. This is one of the biggest myths about soy that I hear all the time. However, research has shown that soy may actually reduce the risk of certain types of cancer. For example, soy contains compounds called isoflavonoids, which have been shown to reduce the risk of breast cancer in some studies. Additionally, there's a review of 35 studies that found that soy intake was not associated with an increased risk of any type of cancer. Myth number 2. Soy causes hormone imbalances in women. Now, studies have shown that soy is actually unlikely to disrupt hormone in women in any significant way. In fact, it can actually help to balance women's hormones, reduce the risk of cancer, again, including that breast cancer, which is often caused by a heightened hormonal level. So, the idea of soy causing hormone imbalances, just simply not true, unless that woman has a soy allergy or a soy sensitivity, in the same way that you could have a gluten allergy or a gluten sensitivity. And then it could impact an individual. And oftentimes it's those stories of individuals that permeate our thoughts and make us think that that's just generally the truth about something, when in reality, the research does not show that. It actually shows that they can help level women's hormones. Myth number 3 is that soy is bad for men. This is completely false. There's again, myth that soy reduces testosterone levels in men and can cause them to appear more feminine. However, research has shown time and again that soy intake does not have a significant impact on testosterone levels in a way that would have any changes in men. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition actually found that soy intake has no impact on no significant impact on testosterone levels and no effect on sperm count or quality or anything like that. So soy is completely fine to eat if you're a man, to feed to your husbands or brothers or children's. They'll be okay. Let me interrupt this episode for just a minute to tell you about a brand that I love. When I'm choosing a nutritional product or a supplement, there are a few things that I look for. I look for quality. Since supplements are unregulated, meaning anyone can manufacture and sell them without having their product tested and approved, it can be tricky to know if you're actually getting a high quality product that's going to give you the support you're looking for. You should always make sure that the company you choose can prove that their products have been third-party tested to ensure that they contain what they claim and they don't contain things like toxins or heavy metals. I also look for taste. Of course, if I'm going to take something routinely, I want it to taste good. This isn't the number one factor for me, but it's certainly helpful in making a new product or supplement into a habit. We usually build faster and more consistent habits around things that we enjoy. I also look for a company that I believe in. I'm really trying to make intentional choices around the companies that I vote for with my dollars. And to me, that means companies that are ethical, both with their employees and their manufacturing or production. Companies that use sustainable sourcing for their ingredients and that work toward environmentally friendly packaging. A company also gets a huge bonus point from me if their mission statement includes serving others. It's these reasons and more that I intentionally choose to use and promote COS. All of COS's products are thoroughly third-party certified, so they can guarantee that I'm getting exactly what they claim without any risk of toxins. And they pack in a ton of nutrients from organic plant sources. COS is totally delicious, from their #1 best-tasting plant-based protein award to their other powdered supplements and gummies. I'm also proud to stand alongside COS's mission to feed the hungry around the world, called Project 10 Million Meals. Every unit of COS purchase will help provide a meal to a local family in need through the food bank nearest to you, in partnership with Feeding America. And right there are their bonus points. You can try COS products by heading to their website or the link in my show notes and using the code Be Well With Steph for 15% off your purchase. That's Be Well With Steph on their website for anything you want to try. Thank you also for intentionally choosing to support companies like COS. I know you're going to love their products. Okay, back to the episode. Now, in addition, there are actual benefits to soy. Health benefit number 1 is that soy is a complete protein. You know that sometimes people on plant-based or vegan or vegetarian diets will talk about the fact that you have to combine different foods because they have different amino acids in them. And when you put the amino acids all together, you build complete proteins, which is a little bit of a myth all on its own, that you don't actually have to put them together in super strategic ways. As long as you're eating a variety of foods, you'll get all the amino acids you need to build healthy protein. But soy itself is a complete protein all on its own, meaning that it contains all of the essential amino acids that our bodies need. This makes it an excellent source of protein for vegetarians, vegans, plant-based people, or just people who are trying to increase their protein consumption or reduce their meat consumption. Health benefit number 2 is that soy may reduce cholesterol levels. I'm going to butcher this word because I'm not a scientist, guys. I just play one on Instagram. But soy contains compounds called phytosterols, phyto meaning plant, right? So phytosterols, which have been shown to reduce cholesterol levels in some studies. There's additionally a review of 35 studies that found that soy protein intake was associated with a modest reduction in LDL, or what we call the bad cholesterol level. Soy consumption is therefore linked overall to lower rates of heart disease. Health benefit number 3 is that soy may improve bone health. Soy is a good source of calcium and magnesium, both of which are important for bone health. Additionally, some studies have found that soy intake may help to reduce the risk of osteoporosis, especially in postmenopausal women. Now, it's important to remember that these health benefits are just part of a healthy diet and lifestyle. They shouldn't be relied on as any sort of sole means of preventing a disease or treating a health problem. But if incorporated with all the other things you do, they may have some awesome benefits. So, how much soy should you actually be consuming? Well, the American Heart Association recommends consuming 1 to 2 servings of soy per day as part of a healthy diet. So now people think, oh, all things in moderation, or maybe it could affect hormones a little, so I'll just eat it once a month or on occasion. No, we're saying it is not going to have significant impact on your hormones, even if you were to eat a couple servings of it a day. So a serving size for soy products are about a cup of soy milk, half a cup of tofu, a small handful of soy nuts, maybe about half a cup of tempeh. So, it's important to notice that not all soy products are created equally. Some are processed more. So we may have soy burgers or soy hot dogs that are more heavily processed. They might be higher in sodium, have other additives in them. So it's really a good idea to read labels carefully on soy products and to continue to choose minimally processed foods. So this means minimally processed soy products, which would be edamame or soybeans as they are. Tempeh, which is fermented and pressed but minimally processed, or tofu, which is more pureed and pressed into a brick but doesn't contain any other additives. So to wrap it all up on soy is a nutritious and versatile food that could provide a variety of health benefits, including reducing the risk of certain types of cancer, reducing cholesterol levels, and improving bone health. Despite some of the myths surrounding soy and our hormones, it is a safe and healthy food for most people to eat. As always, it's important to talk to your doctor when you're considering making any significant changes to your diet. And you can always talk to a dietitian or a nutritionist like myself if you're looking for new ways to start incorporating new healthy foods. All right, friends, thank you so much for being here, so much for listening. I really am excited to get back into this with you, to reconnect a little bit more, to go deeper into some of our daily self-care practices, to answer some more of your questions surrounding nutrition and wellness the best that I can. If I don't know it, I will find it out for you, because I do, again, believe so much that knowledge is power. We can be informed. We can educate ourselves on what is best for ourselves and our bodies and our health, and that we can do it together. So till next week, you guys, be well.
Today I won't be overwhelmed by every topic till they twist and turn. I'll get the gist, I'll learn my way. Each time I wait, I'll bless the day. Instead, bounce it.